Hello. Man, I had to jump back on here and really thank a lot of you people. I got a few more subscribers today. It's funny, that video I put up, I really actually wasn't going to put it up. And then at the last minute, I just said, you know what? It's how I feel. Let's do it. Today, though, I want to talk about, because I was thinking about this today. You know, again, grew up in the South. I'm where I come from, that's just the bottom line. Where do I come from? I come from a way different world than a lot of people nowadays do. Now, a lot of people in the South, you people in the South around my age, down to a few years. I mean, a lot of people in the South, even to this day, to some extent, people use words like redneck. Have no idea what it means. No clue. It's become like a cultural word now, and I just want to dispel something about the word redneck. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but let's talk about it for a minute. What a redneck was when I grew up was a man that worked his ass off. Where the term redneck come from was the old farmers be out in the field all day, man, and the back of their neck would get burned and burned and burned, and it would, they would have a red neck, so you would see them in the store. And that was a redneck. That means that guy's out busting his butt, man, trying to feed his family. That's where the term. Now, over the years, it's changed into something different, and that's cool. That's cool. Everything changes. But where'd I come from? My grandparents raised me. Let's get that understood. I was raised in a world that's so far removed from this one we live in now. People say, well, the South this and the South that and the South this and the South that. I'm gonna tell you what, man. If you was raised where I was raised in the South, you was raised in a pit of fire, man. You was raised trial by fire, I guess you would say, because everything we ate where I come from was either grown or killed in the woods. Pretty much it too. They used to have this thing long before the food stamps and the welfare and all that stuff come up. And I remember as a little kid, we would go to this big building. It looked like a Quonset hut, the best I remember. And they would have, like, you would get a sack of flour, a sack of cornmeal, probably a tin of coffee, and what they called staples. No, you didn't get no T-bone steaks and no crab legs, nothing like they get now. But you got good, you got food staples. You didn't get no meat, At best, you could make some biscuits and gravy probably, and have a cup of coffee. But you know what? That's what it was. And I didn't know that we were poor, because there was food on the table every day. It might be a squirrel. It might be a rabbit. It might be one of the chickens that got caught out in the yard, because we had chickens. We had pigs. Much of you Southern people remember this, and people out who ain't from the South, I'm going to tell you about it. It's the thing. When that first frost hits, what do? We had pig killing, hog killing. And we would go, where I'm from, we would go neighborhood to neighborhood, So all the neighbors would get to this house, and we'd have a hog killing. Then the next day or two, we go to the next house. It was an all day, half the night thing, man. It was a big deal. A big deal. My light went out, so I'll just deal with it. Pig killing. So basically, you would buy your pigs and your piglets in the spring, or you'd have them, and then you would feed them up until the next fall when the frost hit. So we'd all get together, and I'll give you an example. For a young man, a young boy back then, that was a big deal, because every year, one of the young boys, we got to shoot the pig. Because what you would do, and I know some of y'all are going to freak out. It's okay. Yeah, maybe should I do that? Yeah, I'm going to do this. So what happens is one of the young boys, whoever's turn it was, who was the oldest, whatever the deal was, it was a big deal to get to shoot the pig. They would herd the pig down a little channel, and you'd shoot the pig between the eyes with a 22. And one of the men, the older men, would straddle the pig and slit its throat so they could bleed it out, because you have to bleed the pig out. Then you take it over, and you got a barrel sitting over at an angle full of boiling water. So you grab the pig, throw it in there, and you rotate it, spin it, pull it out, throw it up on the table, and scrape a hair off of it. I don't know how many of y'all know about this, but I bet a bunch of you do. They may still do it in places. I don't know. I just remember it so well. The point being is there wasn't going to the store and buying a package of pork chops. It wasn't, and back then, most homes, and some of y'all remember this, had 2 gardens. Okay, 2 gardens. We had the one behind the house. It was big. It was real big. It was big. That was the garden that we canned from. So it was growing everything we put up for the winter. Rows of green beans, all kinds of stuff. And everything in that garden usually got put up for the winter. Lots of tomatoes, have stewed tomatoes in mason jars. Then the other gardens over by the side of the house, close to the back door where the kitchen was, that was what was known back in the day as a truck patch. That was for whatever your daily needs was. It have onions and maybe some squash, okra, man. Yeah, y'all know okra. Everybody grow okra. Okra will grow deep into the winter sometimes, as long as it don't freeze, or as long as you never let the bud pop. If that okra ever splits open and produces seeds, the plant dies. But as long as you pick it, and you have to pick okra like every day, every other day, it'll make more than you can eat. So you can it. You boil it, paraboil it, what they call paraboil it, put it in mason jars. Mason jars have to be hot. That has to be hot, and you slam the seal on it real quick. What happens is it cools down, it sucks the vacuum. The heat kills all the bacteria. You can let that stuff stay on the shelf for a long time. It'll still be good. So in the winter then, when the winter comes along, you grab a can of the stewed tomatoes, throw them in a pot. Grab a can of okra, throw it in a pot. Grab some other stuff, throw that in a pot. And that's what maybe have a rabbit or a squirrel or something. I don't know. And something else I want to tell you. Let's talk about guns. Let's talk about real talk about guns, for real. When I grew up, I remember looking up to the guys that were older than me that got their first vehicles. They was always some kind of pickup truck. They always have a gun rack in the back. Matter of fact, in shop class, back then, one of the biggest things you would make in shop class was a gun rack for your house. We made them in school. Yes. And guess what? Here's the crazy part about that. There wasn't no school shootings back then. Different ages. When I was 8, I was given a gun. It was a gun handed down to me. It was no Sears and Roebuck 12 gauge single shot. It was handed down to me at 8 years old. And I remember my grandpa taking me out and to shoot it. And he loaded the shell and he shot it. He said, "Now let me tell you, son." He said, "Pull this thing up your shoulder and pull it tight." He said, "When you pull that trigger, have that gun tight to your shoulder. That way it can't jump and it won't knock you down. If you don't hold it tight, it's going to hurt you." So I learned. Back in the day, some of the things, I know some of y'all remember this. You be standing there and all of a sudden you got that gun barrel drop the wrong way or turn the wrong way. What happened? Slap the back of the head. Whap! Watch what you're doing. But guess what? I ain't no axe murderer. But, I was hunting food for the table 8, 9 years old. I don't remember how it was when I shot my first rabbit. I remember, though, I tell you, this is funny. I told my grandpa, "I'm going to go rabbit hunting. I'm going to get us a rabbit for supper." He said, "That's a good guy. That's a good idea." He gave me one. This is how you teach your kid. You get one bullet. They don't bring the rabbit home, they don't get to eat. I know that sounds harsh, but I'm just telling you. Man gave me one bullet. And he told me a trick, though. He said, when a rabbit jump up, he said, whistle. When that rabbit heard that whistle, he'll stop, perk his ears up for just a second. And that's when you got him. Okay, so I take off behind us. I ain't 25 yards in the woods, and that rabbit jumps up, big old pretty rabbit. And I whistled, and that rabbit stopped, and that ears perked up. And I was so excited. I just pointed to the rabbit and pulled the trigger. I had 2 pieces of rabbit. Yep, I had 2 pieces of rabbit. I was so proud of myself. So I got the gun in my arm. I got the 2 pieces of rabbit, and I'm running back to the house. I'm all happy. Grandpa, I got supper. I got a rabbit. He said, "Boy," I can't do it with a straight face. He said, "Boy, look at that damn rabbit." "I got a rabbit." He said, "No, you got 2 pieces of a rabbit." He said, "We might get enough out of that rabbit to eat." He said, "The next time, calm down." He said, "Lead the rabbit out the nose about a few inches. That way the shot hits the head and don't get the meat. Because I understand your first rabbit." He said, "But look at the rabbit." And he didn't put me down or nothing. He just was letting me know that, hey, that's not how you kill a rabbit. Now I know ain't nobody watching this channel right now that would get squeamish about any of this. But and back then, people talk about fish. Back then we ate carp and buffalo. Didn't think nothing about it. Nothing about it. Back then they didn't fillet fish either. You was told at the table that fish got bone in it, so watch it. And you had to pick it out, man. I guess what I'm trying to say is I come from a real different world. I got a great job, man. I'm so blessed. But at the same time, man, I think I could go back to that way of life real easy. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of trying to buy a house out in a rural area, away from all town, a long way from town. I mean, out in the sticks. And we'll see if I get it. I'm supposed to find out tomorrow about offering. Need some repairs, but that's good. That'll give me something to do. But I want to get on here and talk to y'all and thank y'all, the ones who are showing up. Because I really want to talk to people. You know, I want to get the message out that life is life, man. We don't have to get all this stuff. You don't have to. I don't know, man. Today I heard a word. I've heard it before. I heard it in a song, Tom McDonald's song, microaggression. There's no such thing. Microaggression means I can't say that without insulting somebody. If you think you were microaggressed, that means you need to go back and reevaluate your life. I'm just saying. Because when I grew up, they tell you stupid. They tell you clothes was stupid. If you got bad grades, you got smacked. There was people that got blue ribbons and people that didn't. You know, I remember I was little. I'm a big dude now. I was little in school. I was undersized. I don't know why, but I was. And I remember being the last person they would pick on when they draw. You know, when they just, I want you. I'd be the last person standing there like, what the hell? But let me tell you something. That's not a bad thing. Because it made me want to succeed. It made me want to get there. I wanted to get there. I wanted to show them I could do this. You know? But you go give everybody a ribbon. What the hell's the point? What the hell is the point? Right? But back to where I come from. That's where I come from. I come from a simple life, man. I didn't know it was bad. I didn't never see it that way. The fact that we eat everything out of a garden or we had to go out in the woods and kill something. We get other stuff sometimes, but it wasn't very often. Didn't have no video games. Didn't have no cell phone. Hell, we didn't have a phone. Had an outdoor toilet. I actually remember an outdoor toilet. Didn't think nothing about it. To me, it was normal. It was normal. You know, talk about minimum wage, man. When I started working, minimum wage was, I think, $1.20. And let me tell you something. When $1.20 an hour working at a factory at 16 years old, which you could in Arkansas back then, I had a little bitty car payment. You know, I had money to go to the movies and buy gas, but I didn't have a cell phone. And, you know, I watch these kids nowadays, they bitch and whine about what they ain't got, but they got a smartphone, you know. I don't know. I just know that there's a better way to look at things. Number one, get over yourself. You're not that important. I don't care who you are. You're not. You know, we're all going to bite the big one someday. We're all going to visit that place beyond the sky. Place beyond the sky. That's it. We all are. I'm sorry. Who's singing that song? Nobody gets out of life alive. You don't. And I'll tell you something about, too. I'm thinking how to get off here because my thing's getting long. At about 55 years old, I made peace with my mortality. Because guess what? I outlived everything I believed I would. Everything from here on out is gravy, man. It's gravy. But that don't mean that I'm going to sit aside and let people destroy my country. Okay? Don't mean that. But I just want to talk to y'all tonight and thank y'all for subscribing to my channel and for the views and stuff. It means something to me. It really does. I want y'all to know that. So I'm so tired. I'm about to fall out for real. So I'm going to go to bed so I can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning at 64 years old and go to work. All right? All right? Okay. Y'all have a good night.